Good morning and welcome to 2022 and another episode of Media in the Morning. We have with us today Jayme Alter Wilson, a partner in the entertainment group, who for today, and maybe depending on her performance, is replacing my co-host Matt Diskin. So Jayme, make it official.
Bye-bye, Matt.
Matt's away on assignment, but I mean, we'll see how today goes. Maybe he'll be back, maybe he won't. So like I said, Jayme is a superstar in the entertainment group in the Toronto office. And, you know, we were away during the holidays. People were binging a lot of television online. Maybe people were away, noticed that some content that they were able to access in Toronto wasn't necessarily available in Aruba or Jamaica or anywhere else that the Beach Boys sang about. So why is that? Can you explain to our viewers why you can access some content on a streaming site in one country and you get to your vacation spot and you can't watch season 2 because it's just not available?
Yes, absolutely, and I can commiserate when you're right in the middle of the show and you happen to take vacation, which we haven't done in a few years, and you can't finish the episode or the series. That's very frustrating. But I think we have to take a step back and we have to acknowledge that there's a difference between commission content and an acquisition. Commission content is when a streamer of the world decides to say, hey, I want to lift that project off the ground. I'm going to pay you to put it into production. And they generally retain the copyright and they retain rights throughout the world. So everywhere that their service is in the world, everywhere that they have a footprint, you will be able to access that content generally.
So that's like, we're not going to name any names because we don't want to get sued for any sort of infringement, but that really popular show where everyone was fighting for a big pot of money and everybody else died in it. Like, that's the sort of commission content because everyone in the world is watching the exact same thing at the exact same time.
Exactly.
Not going to talk about octopus or any other sea creatures.
And not going to name any streamers, but it rhymes with Netflix.
Oh, okay, I'm familiar with
Got
it.
So yes, so streamers would commission content and they would retain worldwide rights. The inverse of that, if you can call it that, is an acquisition. And those are generally finished products that are acquired after the fact. And there are historical implications of that. So if it's a long since produced project, they probably already have licensees in certain territories and with certain exclusive contractual restrictions that say, okay, distributor X, you have exclusive rights in this territory. Distributor Y, you're going to get this territory. So then there's probably a handful of unsold territories that a streamer will come into and say, you know what, I'm going to acquire rights in either all of the remaining territories or in certain remaining territories, depending on probably their data analytics and which markets they think that the particular production will succeed based on the target demographic.
So, popular sitcom from the 70s, for example, it goes on, it'll be really popular in, these 3 markets. So the streaming service will acquire the rights for these, 3 countries within, this time frame. And that's the sort of acquisition rights. And then, hopefully you get through all, 25 seasons of that show, on that platform before it goes to another platform or it doesn't go anywhere at all.
Exactly, and you raise a good point because when you acquire things, it's generally for a finite license period. So it could be as short as 1 to 2 years, as long as 25 years, let's say. And after their license period expires, pending any first rights of negotiation to extend, it will be removed from that service, whether in a particular territory or in all the territories in which that streamer currently exhibits the content.
That completely makes sense. So hopefully, some of our beloved shows that we can't find anymore, they'll come back. They'll have a revival on one of the many platforms we all subscribe to. So we were talking earlier, you said that in 2017 there was a bit of a shift in Canada and how this all sort of played out. What happened?
So again, taking a step back, the concept of on territory by territory basis is not new. I think that that's actually very much what used to be the case for distributors, that they have certain rights in certain territories. And before the globalization of content by way of the internet and by way of these streamers, we were used to having certain rights in certain territories. And CAVCO, our Canadian Audiovisual Certification Office, which actually certifies content in Canada as being Canadian content, required that Canadian rights be exhibited by a Canadian. So for in the instance of series, a Canadian broadcaster would have to be on board. I think in 2017, they saw the globalization of streamers and content on streaming services, and that streaming services were taking worldwide rights or retaining worldwide rights in instances, and they didn't want productions to be precluded from becoming Canadian content just because a streamer acquired the worldwide rights. So they actually adjusted their regulations such that, you know, a worldwide streamer with a worldwide footprint could still acquire Canadian rights, and that content could still be certified as Canadian content.
So we're seeing, since then, we're seeing a greater influx of content into Canada. So from the consumer perspective, that's great. Especially as a mega consumer of television series, especially over the holiday break.
But it's also programs that are produced in Canada.
Okay, great.
You'll find on the streamers of the world, and you don't have to just necessarily turn into your linear local broadcast station in order to acquire the Canadian content, which is great for the Canadian producers as well, so that they can, you know, have more of a global audience elsewhere.
So as a Torontonian, which I believe, you know, we have a huge production empire here. Are you seeing that as a result of these changes in 2017? Do you think that that's sort of caused an increase in production in Canada, or do you think that that's a result of other factors?
I think that there are many factors at play that account for the surge of production in Canada. I think, you know, I think people are just recognizing the talent in Canada, both from a cast and crew perspective. I think that Canadian currency, where it is right now, people are, you know, getting an extra 30% on their buck from coming from the US to Canada. But in terms of Canadian content, I think that people realize that they can get eyeballs outside of Canada on these streaming services, and that they're streaming services that are going to acquire worldwide rights instead of them going on a territory by territory basis trying to find worldwide distributors.
That's great. Well, I learned a lot about film and television production in Canada and why I can only access certain of my favorite shows in Toronto. But I guess if I'm on vacation, maybe I should be enjoying my vacation and not sitting and
pick
watching.
Up a book.
Yeah, pick up a book, have a conversation, get a drink by the pool. But I think that's all the time we have. Thank you so much, Jayme, for joining us. This was great.
Thanks for having me.
I think, Matt, you're getting a run for your money.
Oh, wait.
Oh, no. No,
okay.
That's no
you know
indication of Jayme's talent. Matt.
We need to make it more permanent.
Exactly. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Dentons is a global legal practice providing client services worldwide through its member firms and affiliates. This episode is not designed to provide legal advice, and you should not take or refrain from taking action based on this content. Please see dentons.com for legal notices.